A Caitlin Clark fan, if you're an Indiana Fever fan, this is something you already know. However, for the haters out there, the old WNBA fandom, many of you call them the slows, for those fans, they're in complete denial. We've tried to tell people Caitlin Clark moves the needle.
If you're a Caitlin Clark fan or an Indiana Fever supporter, you might want to sit down for this one because what just happened could shake the entire franchise to its core. The haters, the skeptics, the so-called old WNBA purists who still refuse to accept that Caitlin Clark has completely redefined women's basketball, they're about to get a reality check. Out of nowhere, Sophie Cunningham just dropped a shocking bombshell on her own podcast, a statement so bold it sent shockwaves across the entire Fever locker room. She didn't mince words. She said, "The next team I play for, I want a bigger contract, something that lets me finally buy a house and get comfortable." And just like that, the whispers turned into panic. That one comment might have revealed the biggest problem the Fever have been trying to hide all season, the possibility that one of their most valuable, underappreciated stars is ready to walk away. And if that's true, we're not just talking about a roster shakeup, we're talking about a move that could completely derail Caitlin Clark's rise and the entire Fever project built around her.
So Sophie Cunningham is one of the biggest names in the WNBA. And as well as that, she's also one of the best glue guys, role players in the entire league. Say we want about Sophie Cunningham, she shot 63% true shooting percentage while being a well above average defender. I'm not going to say a great defender, but like well above average defender. She's one of the better defenders on the Fever, and she's somebody that originally usurped DeWanna Bonner as a starter. And then obviously,
the moment Sophie Cunningham's words hit the airwaves, it wasn't just another podcast soundbite, it was an earthquake inside the Indiana Fever organization. Coaches, teammates, even front office staff were blindsided. This wasn't some throwaway comment made for clicks or drama. It sounded like a declaration from someone who's already halfway out the door. And that's what made it sting, because Sophie isn't just another player, she's the heartbeat that holds the Fever together when the spotlight shifts away from Caitlin Clark. Her intensity, her defense, her willingness to do all the dirty work that never makes the highlight reels, that's what makes her irreplaceable. So when fans heard her basically say she's looking for a new home, it sent shockwaves through Indianapolis. This is a team that's finally starting to click around their generational superstar, and now one of their most trusted veterans might be walking away just when everything was beginning to take shape. You could feel the tension online too. The Fever fan base went from excitement to panic in minutes. Everyone's asking the same question. How do you let someone this valuable even think about leaving?
Tried to tell people Caitlin Clark moves the needle unlike anybody else in this league or everybody else in this league. It just sort of is what it is. Fans are coming to see one particular player, and along with that, carries over the support to the entire team. Well, Forbes has released a rather very interesting insight report that tells you exactly how much the Indiana Fever's social media engagements are actually monetarily worth.
For Caitlin Clark, this changes everything. She came into the league carrying the kind of hype no rookie in WNBA history has ever seen. Every arena she steps into sells out. Every clip of her shooting from the logo hits millions of views. She's not just a player, she's a movement, the driving force behind the Fever's revival and the league's explosion in popularity. But now, with Sophie Cunningham hinting at leaving, the foundation around Clark suddenly looks shaky. You can't overstate it. Sophie's not the flashiest name, but she's the type of player every superstar needs beside them. A knockdown shooter, a disciplined defender, a glue piece who keeps the chemistry intact. Losing her isn't just about losing stats, it's about losing stability. And when you're building around a once-in-a-generation player like Caitlin, stability is everything. The Fever have already seen how fragile success can be. One wrong roster move, one internal misstep, and the whole structure collapses. And if management lets Sophie walk for money reasons, That's not just poor planning, it's a message to the rest of the locker room that even loyalty and effort aren't enough to be valued. It puts the team's long-term vision in question and leaves fans wondering if the front office truly understands what it takes to build a dynasty around Clark's talent.
It does sound like the Fever are not going to keep her. From her podcast, a lot of the time she'd been mentioning the Fever. And in the most recent podcast, she did not mention the Fever. And she said this.
And I think the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract. So then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy.
Sophie Cunningham's comment about wanting a bigger contract wasn't small talk, it was a warning shot. She's been one of the Fever's hardest workers, hitting clutch threes, defending top wings, doing all the dirty work while earning far less than her impact deserves. And now, it sounds like she's done being underpaid. The problem is, the Fever's front office has a history of questionable moves. They traded a valuable draft pick to get Sophie last year, and now they might just let her walk after one season? That's a disaster. You can't build around a generational player like Caitlin Clark while losing the very pieces that make her shine. If money is the reason Sophie leaves, it won't just expose financial mismanagement. It'll prove that Indiana's success came from luck, not real planning.
Forbes has released a rather very interesting insight report that tells you exactly how much the Indiana Fever's social media engagements are actually monetarily worth, either on X or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. I mean, all these posts have a monetary value to them based on engagement. Boy, their posts are worth a lot of money. They are worth a lot of money, and I can tell you right now, that's a little over 5 times higher than the next.
If Sophie Cunningham leaves, the Fever aren't just losing a player, they're losing their balance. Her presence on the floor is what gives Caitlin Clark room to operate, stretching defenses and hitting threes when it matters most. She plays tough, she plays smart, and she never needs the spotlight to make an impact. That's rare. Take her out, and the whole system collapses. Spacing disappears, defense weakens, and Clark gets double-teamed every possession. You can't replace that kind of chemistry overnight. And the truth is, players like Sophie are the glue that turns talent into championships. Without her, the Fever risk falling right back into the chaos they just escaped.
I don't want to keep. This is the dumbest thing I think I've seen a team do. Like, genuinely. They traded 4 years of Sinai Rivers, and by the way, the Fever wouldn't have drafted Sinai Rivers. The Fever would not have drafted Sinai Rivers. The Fever are dumbasses. They would have drafted somebody else. But losing Sophie Cunningham for money reasons is not a smart thing to do. Like,
The moment Sophie's comments hit the internet, the media went into a frenzy. Sports analysts, talk shows, and fan pages exploded with debates. Was this a contract warning or a goodbye message? Every outlet picked it up, and the story spread faster than any post-game highlight. Forbes even dropped new data showing just how massive the Fever's online influence has become, $55 million in social value, 5 times higher than any other WNBA team. That's Caitlin Clark's power on full display. But it's players like Sophie who amplify that reach and keep fans emotionally invested. Losing her doesn't just hurt the roster, it hits the Fever's brand, their engagement, and their entire image as the league's new powerhouse. One player's decision suddenly turned into a national conversation about value, loyalty, and the real price of success.
They are worth a lot of money, and I can tell you right now, that's a little over 5 times higher than the next WNBA team. 5 times higher. Let's go down here. Just scroll down. The Indiana Fever's staggering $55 million social media evaluation speaks volumes. Now, before we get into this, let me just come over here and let me read this to you so you know exactly what we're looking at. After noticing the growing...
Then came the backlash. Fans started digging through old decisions, and what they found made things worse. The Fever had traded away the 8th overall pick, Sania Rivers, to get Sophie Cunningham, betting big that she'd be a long-term piece. At the time, it looked smart. Now, if Sophie walks after just one season, that trade becomes one of the worst moves in team history. You don't sacrifice a cost-controlled rookie for a veteran you can't afford to keep. It's front office failure, plain and simple. Commentators are calling it a self-inflicted wound, saying Indiana's management is gambling away Caitlin Clark's prime years by mismanaging assets. The Fever were finally on the rise, and now they risk throwing it all away because of short-sighted planning and poor cap strategy. The fans are livid, the analysts are ruthless, and the pressure on the front office has never been higher.
An unpopular opinion, Sophie's better than Lexi. But it's close enough that fair enough Lexi's younger. But I'm like, Lexi's not worth a max either. Like, if you're stuck in a situation where you've got two wings that are not max contract players looking for max contracts, you have to pick one or the other, you're kind of screwed. Especially because you could have had a cost-controlled Sania Rivers for 4 years. At the same time, what are the odds that Steph White would have not developed Sania Rivers whatsoever and gave her bench splinters for the...
Just when fans thought the situation couldn't get worse, another rumor hit the scene, one that sent the Fever community into total disbelief. Reports started circulating that the front office might actually prioritize keeping Natasha Howard on a max contract instead of re-signing Sophie Cunningham. And that decision, if true, makes absolutely no basketball sense. Howard's a solid veteran, sure, but her playing style slows down the offense and clogs up, spacing everything that Caitlin Clark's system depends on. Meanwhile, Sophie's game is built around movement, spacing, and rhythm, the exact formula that lets Clark dominate. Choosing Howard over Cunningham would be like trading a spark plug for a traffic cone. Analysts are already calling it basketball insanity, saying it proves the Fever's leadership doesn't understand how to build around a superstar. Inside the locker room, tension is reportedly rising too. Players can feel the uncertainty, and morale is dipping. What should have been a smooth offseason of progress is turning into a storm of confusion, leaving fans wondering if anyone in charge truly has a plan.
CEO of STN Digital, the valuations of these franchises are increasing dramatically. The ratings on television are better than ever, and I think there's no better time to look at what's happening on social media. Using a model called, quote, social value metric, the study calculated the estimated pay media equivalent value created by organic posts, factoring in impressions, video views, engagements to benchmark what the same exposure would cost through advertising. So in other words, if you paid out...
The fallout from this saga doesn't just stop at Sophie Cunningham, it's now reaching Caitlin Clark herself. Sources close to the team say Clark is growing frustrated, and honestly, who can blame her? She's doing everything right, breaking viewership records, packing arenas, and carrying the WNBA into a new era, yet the organization around her keeps making rookie mistakes. Losing Sophie would send a message that winning isn't the priority, and that's the last thing you want your franchise player to feel. Clark needs shooters, defenders, and teammates who buy into the system, not front office chaos and uncertainty. Every move the Fever make now will define the next 5 years of her career. And if they can't surround her with the right support, fans are already asking the unthinkable, will Caitlin eventually want out? Because no superstar wants to waste their prime carrying a team that refuses to learn from its mistakes. The Fever's golden opportunity could slip away faster than anyone realizes, all because they couldn't see the value of the players who made it all possible.
She's not, like, KK Timpson, I've watched her the entire year. And you could say, oh, you know, KK could have been, like, she should have been progressing much better if Steph White had played her more. I'm watching her over in Europe. She's not getting better. She's not getting better. Like, she's hooking the bad teams and then looks lost against the good teams. She's not really improving, and that is concerning. That is concerning. And now you're at a stage where, like, you have to realistically keep, like, if you don't keep Sophie.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about one contract, one player, or one offseason. This is about the Indiana Fever's identity and the future of their entire franchise. Sophie Cunningham's hint wasn't drama, it was a mirror reflecting everything wrong behind the scenes. You can't build a dynasty on unstable ground, and right now, it feels like the Fever are testing that limit. If they let her walk, it won't just hurt their record, it'll destroy the trust of fans who finally believed again. Caitlin Clark deserves a team built on loyalty, chemistry, and vision, not confusion and careless decisions. Sophie's possible departure is more than a roster loss. It's a warning that the Fever's momentum could vanish overnight. And if the front office doesn't fix it fast, the biggest tragedy won't be losing games. It'll be losing the respect and hope of a fan base that thought this was the beginning of something historic.